Here is an SAT tip and trick for you that deals with raising a number to the power of 0 and also flipping a function over its x-axis. So to illustrate these two tips, I'm going to take a look at question 14 from SAT Practice Test 5. So if we look at question 14 from SAT Practice Test 5, it tells us that f of x is equal to 2 to the power of x plus 1. It says the function f is defined by the equation above. Which of the following is the graph of y equals negative f of x in the xy plane? Well, if we're going to do this, we know that y is equal to negative f of x. So what we're going to do then is take f of x, and we're just going to put a negative sign in front of this 2 to the power of x and this plus 1. So we put a negative sign in front of that. Now we have negative f of x. So all we're going to do then is graph this equation. Now the first thing that I'm going to look for whenever I'm graphing an equation is obviously where my y-intercept is going to be. So my y-intercept is going to be where x equals 0. So if I put a 0 in here for x, then I'm going to have 2 raised to the 0 power. Now anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. So keep in mind, if you have 2 raised to the power of 0, 1 raised to the power of 0, 10,000 raised to the power of 0, anything raised to the power of 0 is going to equal 1. Okay, some people argue about whether or not 0 raised to the 0 power is 1 or if it's 0, but you don't have to worry about that because I don't think that they'd ever put that on the SAT math section because it's not really agreed upon mathematicians. Just know anything raised to the 0 power is going to be 1. Okay, so we got 2 raised to the 0 power. We know that's going to be 1. So now we're going to have negative 1 plus 1. We know that that's going to equal negative 2. Okay, so when x is 0, we need to have our graph be at negative 2 for y. So I look at option A, I see I don't have that, A must be wrong. I look at option B, I see B is at negative 1. That one must be wrong as well. I look at option C, I see that that does have my y-intercept at negative 2. So that could be correct. I look at D, I see that that's at negative 1. I see my answer then must be C. All right, so I know my answer there has to be C. Now, another way that you could go ahead and get rid of options A and option B as answer choices, or at least option B, is when you look at, or really option A and B, is just if you were to take a look at the original equation, right? So I'll erase this so you can see it. We have 2 to the power of x plus 1, right? So we know that if we just plotted this and we ignored this negative sign, it looks something like this, right? It'd be increasingly exponential, right? It'd just keep going higher and higher. Okay, so then if we're going to flip that over its x-axis, we would have our graph look something like this, where we go increasingly down. Okay, so we would have to go increasingly down. We see in option A, we don't do that. We see in option B, we don't do that. So right off the bat, you could get rid of those two. You'd be between A and D at that point. And that's where understanding that anything raised to the power of 0 equals 1 comes in handy, because by doing that, you can find your y-intercept, find what the correct answer is. So hopefully this video is helpful. The big things to take away are that anything raised to the power of 0 is going to equal 1, and then also just understanding that if you have y equals negative f of x, you're just flipping f of x over its x-axis. So those are the two big things to understand from this video. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and as always, have a great day.